Good morning and welcome to Fast Horses Today. Today is Sunday. It is April 27th. It's the end of the race week over at Santa Anita. And looks like, they'll have their usual weather, sunny skies. Track will be fast, turf will be firm. Unlike what they had yesterday, it was a little bit different, with the muddy track and good turf course. So today looks like, again, fast and firm. I'm sure they've had time to work on the track and get everything back to what is normal over there. All right, well, I've got some races that I do like today. I've got some win bets to make throughout the card. And, we can go from there. I'm going to start out in the first race, which I usually skip over the first few races. But there is a horse that I do like in the first race, that being the one-horse Kentucky Gal. The horse is 2-1 in the program, so certainly no secret there. Phil D'Amato trains, Antonio Fresu takes the call. Now, I had spotted this horse a couple days ago just doing my handicapping and noticed this horse as well, who is Kentucky Gal, and I see she's running today. So I think she fits pretty well here in this first level allowance race. This is 1.25 miles on the turf, which is exactly what she did last time. And she ended up getting beat by Public Assembly, which we saw Public Assembly win a big race yesterday in the stakes race there at Santa Anita. So 2-1, I would hope we can get 2-1. We'll make a win bet on the one horse, Kentucky Gal, in the first race. Now let's go over to the third race of the day. Third race of the day is a starter allowance race with an option to claim for 50. So some horses might be in here for 50,000 claim. And they are running a mile on the dirt today. And I'm going to make a win bet on the one horse, who is Mr. Leisure. Mr. Leisure, Tim Yakteen barn, Antonio Fresu. Looks like Yakteen might have a couple live ones, and Fresu certainly has some live ones throughout the day as well. But I've liked Mr. Leisure for a while here. A horse out of Distorted Humor, gelding. The Yakteen barn claimed this horse off of Doug O'Neill back in spring of last year, about a year ago this time. And the horse has run twice for Yakteen this year, coming out first time, breaking his maiden on the turf, 6 furlong turf event, sprinting. Flavian Pratt just got the horse out there, and the horse went and just blitzed the field for a 50,000 maiden claiming tag. So, they put the horse in for this same type of level, the starter allowance, back on the turf. And the horse, I thought, ran a good race, very good enough, a good enough speed figure. They're moving this horse over to the dirt today and running him 2 turns, which really should be no problem with the breeding. Distorted Humors could really do it all. On the bottom side, it's a Tisnow mare, so certainly distance should be no issue for Mr. Leisure. 4-1, Antonio Fresu. Going to make a win bet on Mr. Leisure in the third race. All right, now I'm going to move over to the fifth race of the day. Fifth race of the day is a $32,000 starter allowance, also running at a mile on the dirt. So starter allowance here, and this for horses who have run for a claiming price of $32,000 or less in 24-25, and it's 3-year-olds and up. And it looks like they're definitely carting more of these type of races. It's not a bad idea because it can get fields, draw fields and create nice betting opportunities. So this is a competitive field of horses, and you've certainly got some horses who have rung up several wins on their record, and I'm going to go with the 6 horse here and make a win bet on Clamp It for Mark Glatt. Mark Glatt puts Abel Lascano on the horse, and Glatt has been using Flavian Pratt on this horse. We know Pratt is not riding in California at this time, and Clamp It has certainly done a nice job this year. Running on on the Santa Anita dirt. So Clamp It at one time, I think was, supposed to be a good horse when he first started his career. There was a lot of promise, it didn't work out as they planned, but certainly in this level, Clamp It's certainly done some really nice work. Running at a couple different distances and running very well. Shows a nice one at 7 furlongs on the Santa Anita dirt, and also at a mile on the dirt. So, Abel Lascano, has been won some races, ran pretty well, rode pretty well during the Santa Anita meet. He's 0 for 8 here at the the summer meet, the Hollywood meet. But I think certainly Lascano can get off the schneid here and get a win here at 7-2. So we'll make a win bet on Clamp It. I just hope that Lascano gets this horse out well. Could probably put him on the lead or very close, and this horse should be able to finish and beat this field. 7-2 should be a good price. We'll take that. All right, now let's move over to the next race that I've got a bet in. We're going to move to the 7th race. 7th race is the feature of the day. It's the Grade 3 Senorita. Senorita's run down the hill 6.5 furlongs. And, I'm hoping that they're able to keep it down the hill there at 6.5 furlongs. So, The 7th race is approximate post time about 4 o'clock, 4:08 Pacific, so that's 6:08 here Central Time. And I'm going to make a win bet here. I'm presuming this is going to stay down the hill. If it doesn't stay down the hill, I'm not going to make this bet. But I'm going to make the bet if it stays down the hill on Amarita. And the reason why I'm putting that condition here is that I think Amarita really moves up if this race goes down the hill. As we've seen historically, horses that have come off of longer races, mile and a 16th, 2-turn races, when they shorten up and go down the hill, they do pretty well too. And, also historically, when you see horses that are kind of runoff horses, a little tough, to ride in the beginning of races, when they get down the hill, for some reason they relax when they go down the hill, and they're not that runoff type. So something about that hill relaxes horses, and these high-speed horses, end up running nicely. They run a relaxed race. Now, Amarita does fit both of those. She checks both of those boxes. She had been running in longer races, mile races over at Santa Anita, and also showing that runoff ability where it's been hard to control her. Like, for example, when she ran in late January, I had given this horse out. I bet this horse, and she ended up just pulling Tiago Pereira out to the lead in extremely fast fractions and couldn't finish up. They ended up changing the jock, putting Hernandez on the horse, which Hernandez has her today. Hernandez was able to ride the horse better and get a win in an allowance race, nice allowance race. But again, the horse took the lead. He was kind of, fighting a little bit, trying to relax the horse, and she held on by a nose. Those tactics, they tried it again in the China Down. She ended up getting beat by a horse named Will Then. Will Then is a very nice horse, having been a graded stakes winner. So, no shame in losing to Will Then. But, I like Amarita today. She's 3-1 in the program. Richard Mandela, trainer. Juan Hernandez takes the call again. Again, she's 3-1. And I think the shorten up down the hill should really make this horse very viable here. So if this race stays down the hill at 6.5, I'm going to make a win bet on the 7-horse Amarita in the 7th race. If it goes to that flat grass course, I'm going to take that off and I'm not going to play it. All right, now let's finally go to the last race of the day. Last race of the day being the 11th race. The 11th race is a maiden special weight, and they are running a mile on the grass. California maiden special weights, these are 3-year-olds and up, California breds I mentioned, and, big full field of horses. I'm going to go back with the 1, who is Anan. I played this horse last time. I give this horse out on Fast Horses today. And, made a bet on this horse. Horse ended up getting, bet down big time, was even money, which didn't expect to see that. Alexis Barba, she's a nice trainer, but Alexis Barba doesn't really, run a whole lot of horses. So for her to get action like that was just very, very strange to me. But anyway, Giovanni Franco had been on this horse in this horse's career. And I just feel like Franco had really just given this horse way too much to do to try to win races. And, they're switching now to Hector Berrios. And, Hector Berrios certainly improves a horse, and I think he really improves a horse on the turf. I think the jock switch here to Hector Berrios should certainly be a good factor here. This horse is staying on the turf as he's been running, in his past history, running at a mile. I think his last couple races, if he gets a little improvement, a little better ride, which I think Hector Berrios can do, give this horse a little something less to do, and he should finish up strongly. He's 5-1. I'm going to make a win bet on Anan. All right, now let's recap the day and recap the bets. Okay, so let's recap the day. So today, for April 27th, Sunday, we've got some win bets throughout the day. We've got 4 win bets. In the first race, betting the 1 horse, Kentucky Gal. Third race, betting the 1 horse, Mr. Leisure. Move over to the 5th race, betting the 6, Clamp It. And then finally in the last race, a win bet on the 1, Anan. So I've got several ones here. I want to see the ones wild today. So as always, you can bet these horses as is. Maybe you could use these horses in your multi-race wagers if you decide to do so. I wish you the best of luck with what you decide to do. Let's wish the folks over at Santa Anita a very safe day of racing, and let's wish ourselves some good trips to result in good results. All right, now, I really appreciate that you watched Fast Horses today and listened to the picks. If you haven't done so, please do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. You can like, dislike, make comments. I promise to respond to everything. And thanks to everybody who have hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate you doing that. So as always, I thank you so much for watching Fast Horses today. Good luck today on April 27th, the end of the week. Let's finish the week strong over at Santa Anita, the great race place. And we'll be back with more coverage on Fast Horses Today for next week. Have a wonderful day.